Hello, I'm here. How are you, Connor? And everybody else? We have 7 contestants for Mapcrap so far, which is impressive because neither myself nor iQuare have actually set foot into the contest this time around. So I'm excited to see what people bring from that. All right. So let me... What's up, Helltrix? I just filled you in for Mapcrap, and I DM'd you about the forum. I don't know if you caught that. I'm doing very well. I slept in a little bit, but then for the last hour I was just doing some housekeeping. That's what you call it, not housework. I'm getting back into doing push-ups. I'm trying to do at least 5 to 10 every morning and every evening, so like right when I get up and right before I go to bed. And I know it doesn't sound like a big, impressive number, but we're working on it. We're going to get it back up and do it. I found out, I've been doing push-ups in a way where it was easier to do more numbers of them, but you were getting less of a workout. So, not necessarily, really, really bad form or dangerous form in terms of, how I was handling it, but it certainly could have been more effective if I was trying to get work done, you know what I mean? So, I'm... trying to improve that, and yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm starting with such small rookie numbers. Apparently when you let your chest fall first, I didn't know this because when I was really big into exercise, I started to get really big into exercise in the last 2 years or so, I didn't really look anything up. I was just like, all right, I want to do that because I want to not be fat. And that's great. You know, respect the grind, respect the motivation. But I didn't really have a lot of, coaching or whatever. But my brother plays football, so of course he has to do a ton of workouts. Or I should say played. Season is over and Corona, so he might not be playing high school football for a while. But I was asking him to explain his form, and he said that if you let your chest fall first, which kind of feels unnatural to me. It feels like you're almost not you're being lazy about it. You're just like, all right, it's like the same sort of motion as if you let your as if you just relaxed your arms and let them fall to your sides or something. You know what I mean? It's like similar kind of sensation physically. But then, of course, when you try to come back up, it's like, oh, shit, I'm all the way on the floor. Much closer. So I immediately felt the difference between those two methods. Because mine was just, lowering my body as a deliberate act instead of letting it fall, if that makes any sense. So, anyway, we're getting into the weeds about push-ups, but that's been something that I've been doing recently. My arms are definitely sore. So... But improving the form is good. It's like improving technique at writing AI. You don't have to do as much AI writing. Your scripts are smaller because you improved your technique. Man, what a mentally ill man I have become, where I just link everything back to Brood War AI. What's up, Veek? You would feel a lot better about yourself if you were able to go to the gym every day. Yeah, or every time. I understand that one. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things is, I was pretty regular about the, gym lately, and then obviously everything shut down. And so I was, stuck in, fuck, what do I do? So now I'm just doing stuff at home. But I should have done this sooner, but it's better late than never, you know? Helltrix, are you Hell T Zen? Is that you? I don't know what your capitalization was meant to be, but this forum always resets capitalization, so you can go and change your display name when in your profile once I approve you. But I'm just waiting for you to confirm that that was you actually. Yeah, it is. Okay. Accept. There you go. So feel free to change it when you go into your... Here, I'll show you what it looks like. So you go here, right? And then you go to profile. For me, the notification is just that you're pending registration. And then if you go to edit profile and you go to, I think it's personal. Yeah, display name. You can change your capitalization there. So. Yeah. I don't know if it allows spaces when you're changing your display name. I think your account name, which is in lowercase, has to be like plain text shit. But I'm pretty sure you can do... Well, I'm not sure if you can do spaces. I guess I should try that. Oh, check that out. You can do spaces. That's pretty epic. Yeah, Connor, if you don't mind sending it over. In my, you can post it in Special Bus or whatever. In case somebody else wants to experience the push-up grind. Also, sorry for not muting there. Sorry about that. Sorry. You were always terrible at grind. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the hardest part... So, with physical stuff as well... Well, it was just so small, I didn't even think about it. With physical shit, like putting my body through a physical workout, I procrastinate to the max. But I always eventually do it, which is weird. I feel like that last part is not normal. Usually, I would procrastinate and then forget about it. And it was like a defense mechanism against doing any work. And it's pretty silly. So I would say hold on. When it comes to like the grind, I would say I just want to make sure I had the spelling correctly. Prozac. My take on it is the more work that you do, the more often you do it, the easier it becomes to do. And so you kind of just have to... It's like eventually it becomes normal and it becomes habitual, and it's like it's easy to do nothing, because especially if you're used to doing nothing, it's easy to do nothing. And then as you do it more often, right, it becomes easier to keep doing what you're doing. I guess technically it's always easier to do nothing, but I think everybody's always figured out, like they've been into a rhythm at one point or another in their life. And I'll again draw it back to Brood War modding because that's my kind of shit, I guess. But they've eventually gotten to the point where they are... because of their ability to... like, just get into a grind and always do the same thing. Like, at least do work every day or whatever. They've seen improvement in themselves in that way. And so I think that when it becomes habitual, when it becomes normal, it's like you can't imagine not doing it. Like, I can't imagine not pushing start stream at least once a day. You know what I mean? Because I've been doing it for however many months now. So I think that works as a way. And then... Heltrix, I'll answer your question in a second because it's a little bit harder for me to answer than the basic one from Veek. I think it's pretty neutral. I like that. It's not quite as dark as the other one that we're doing, right? The fraudulent fimble. This one is, I made some small changes to it yesterday, and I think those came out well. There's like stuff that I didn't really fully understand what it was, as far as the customizing theme colors, like pagination. And I think some of the outside containers and stuff. I didn't realize how they worked. But, I think yours is a worthwhile, like, alternative or whatever. This one seems a little bright to me, especially compared to all the other ones, but I also know that this one was like not for me. Alexander requested it, so it was a little different in that sense. Whereas I think the bluer one is pretty nice. So yeah, I think the blue and purple ones are definitely worthwhile additions. So good job on yours. I thought DF was working on one at some point, but I don't think he hasn't mentioned whether or not he's updated it or whatever. I haven't seen it in the list, so he must be in draft phase or something. Alright, thanks for that. I'll give that a watch later. Alright, so what's the deal with the forum? So real quick, hopefully I can summarize this decently enough. Because I want to get to work on Hydra and stuff. We have instant message stuff from the Discord server. We have a really easy amount of interaction and instant communication, but it doesn't lend well to really long-form discussion because of the instant nature of the messages. You're more tempted to fall into a trap where you're constantly just typing the very, very little. You might not even really read somebody's messages that completely and fully understand them, and so you may come away with it from a different meaning or whatever. And even if you don't have that problem, you definitely will be typing in shorter hand, right? Short form. Not really explaining yourself to the best of your ability. And even if there are some salient points made, or some really important or valuable information gleaned from a conversation through an instant messenger, good luck finding it, because the messages, there's 100,000 messages a day or whatever, 100 messages to 1,000 messages a day on the server. So you're not really going to be able to keep track of that. And pinning messages is not really sufficient for bookmarking things. For one, there's a limitation, and for another, it doesn't give every context, and it's also not fully available to everybody. So it's not sufficient to deal with that. Whereas on a forum, somebody makes a post, you respond to the post, somebody responds to your post, back and forth between however many people, discussion points are made, things are looking good. And when somebody points to something and say, oh yeah, did you see that post? You can be like, no, I don't recall that, let me go look that up. And it's super easy to find, because there's much less volume of messages. And that's the point of the forum. Eventually, we'll fill this in with enough stuff. I think I was thinking of combining artism and gay into gaytism, so that we had just one place for stuff that wasn't RTS, including music and all that other stuff. But I'll wait to see how people use it before doing that. And obviously I could just move stuff around if I do decide to condense things. But I think that'll be the extent of the number of places that you can that there's conversation. There's not going to be a general chat. There's not going to be a place where you can shit post. It's meant for very specific topical communication. That's why it's closed, because I want to only allow in people who are interested in furthering that communication, right? And so that's sort of the idea that I have about that. So that's basically the point of the forum. The point of the forum is to offer a longer form, more formal and more in-depth alternative to discussing stuff over instant messages. And I don't expect it to see a huge amount of use. But the fact that we have pretty much everybody who's working on modern Brood War projects in this server, like there's not completely everybody, but a significant portion, like I would say in the 90% of the number of individuals who are working on noteworthy Brood War projects at this point are in this server. At least that we know of. Obviously, there could be somebody who's like a complete hermit who doesn't talk to anybody. I think Mesk said there was at least one person that fit that bill. And because they're all in the Discord server, assuming they all jump over to the forum as well, we would have the only forum that is predominantly made up of like either people who are involved in the creation of it, like testers and asset producers or whatever, like Balethal makes music and stuff. But we would also have actual content creators, and those would be the small user base. It's like content creators and the people who contribute to those producing processes, and then maybe some more laymen who are like even Ultralisks and Fagudo and stuff, like those people are still like explicitly they test content and they have stuff to say about it, and so they would also be valuable additions to the community as well in that sense. So that's basically the point. So that's my rundown. I forgot the image code for Wikidot. Shit. Oh, it was 2 brackets. Goes without saying, those are work in progress or placeholder title cards. I just didn't feel like making giant text anymore. 3.3. Why? I don't want a phone call. I want music. Can't believe it underlines Fagudo's name, but not anybody else's. Rude. I think at this point, the main reason I'm writing this document right now is because I want to nail out, I want to like document the tech tree progression of the missions, and I feel like it would be important to put that on paper. But I also feel really weird about filling in a design diary document with no other information than just the tech path, so I decided to write some shit. Eventually, I'm thinking of having like I don't know how this will work exactly for Wikidot. I don't know if there's a function for this. I'm assuming there is, where it like changes the image every single time you visit the page, and it's like changes between a set of images, and they'd all be the same size, and Hydra, the text would be in the same place, but like the background would be different, if that makes any sense. So I think that will look pretty nice when that's done. What's up, Ultralisks? Yeah, I'm just writing some stuff about Hydra's tech trees. And I'm going to document where, like, what the... what missions implement which units and stuff. I want to sort of finalize that, at least get a list down so that I can see it on paper. I'll probably do that in Notepad++ first. I'm just filling in some stuff with the design diary right now, and then after I'm done with like some forward basis, basically like just some writing, I'm going to make that list and then try to finalize it and put it in, like at least put a work in progress list, a perspective list. Well, I'm not really sure about changing mediums. I haven't really cracked that one because for me, I've always come back to Brood War, even if I've temporarily like been consumed by something else. And I actually might even have the opposite problem where I want to move on to work with Unreal at some point, and I want to leave Brood War behind, like not this year, not even next year probably, but sometime and before I'm 30 presumably, so in the next 5 years. That is a big deal, and so I have to figure that out, but I don't really know what to make of that. Like, for me, right, I'm not sure that it's an advantage. I mean, really depends on what you want. Like, I know a lot of life depends on what you want out of it. But if you're just trying to improve your ability to understand concepts and your ability to adapt to new environments, there's only a certain amount of that you can get by staying in the same thing. Like, you can work with different design precepts. Like, you could try to design the best micro mission in Brood War or something. Instead of a macro mission, or you could try to like really zero in on working on the same AI for like a month to try to really just min-max as much, capability out of them as possible, for whatever you were trying to achieve, like in whatever context the map was. You can try doing all sorts of stuff like that, but what it comes down to is your ability to like, eventually, rather, it's going to come down to the fact that, like, you're not going to be able to get too much out of the experience of staying within the same thing. I'm after mastery of RTS design. Brood War is the best RTS when it comes to the default game state. And I have made the determination that taking a more flexible engine within a worse game state would be too arduous a task, like trying to update it so that I could basically port Brood War's functionality or Brood War's balance and Brood War's skill expression. I can't really port that to another engine, perhaps Unreal, but like that would be making my own game. So from a modding standpoint, I can't take another engine that's more flexible. Like I've heard Age of Empires 2 is more flexible. I've heard good stuff about like the Red Alert 2 and Command & Conquer 2 games. As far as how flexible modding is for them. To me, I think it would be much more arduous to try to mod those games into being a better RTS than Brood War, or equivalent RTS in terms of skill expression. So I work within Brood War, as flawed as it is, and I try to soldier on through the arduous nature of the modding of it, where it requires a lot of reverse engineering and stuff, and has really dysfunctional tools and all this other stuff. And I just try to make the best of stuff that I can make in there, with the eventuality being I'm going to make my own RTS, and it's going to be even better than Brood War, and it's going to provide even more skill expression than Brood War, and have even more different playstyles supported, and all this other stuff that I've talked about 100 times. So, like, the eventual goal is there, like, the distant goal is there, and then the more immediate goal is try to make something really good, and, like, see what that means. See what really good means in the context of Brood War, because you're kind of grading on a curve when you have the idea of like, this is a project that exists in an engine that is super arduous to work with, and so there's like certain things that you're certain compromises or concessions that you're making just intrinsically when you work with a Brood War project, some of which you may not even think about, and so that stuff is like obviously difficult to wrap your head around, I guess, or difficult to deal with, but it's still fairly valuable to me to make something and then judge its quality and merits. So. You don't feel Unreal is good for RTS? It may not be. There is an RTS plugin, and I'm pretty sure you can do like at least faux 2D. I'm mostly worried about performance, but apparently it's super performant. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but that's what Mesk said. Ilya, I would prefer, first of all, welcome to the stream, hi. I would definitely prefer 2D. I don't see the merits of 3D. Like, I'm not interested in making it so that you can move your units up, like hover your units up to avoid projectiles or on that only fire on a certain plane. I don't think that kind of, that would be way too gimmicky for my liking, as far as that goes. How do I force myself to work when I don't feel like it? Well, like I was saying earlier, hello, how are you? You missed this earlier when I was talking about it, so I'm gonna restate it just for your sake. But I was talking earlier about how, like, when you're habitualizing something, when you're making something a habit, when you do it every day, like, I can't imagine not pushing the start streaming button because it's such a habit of mine to get on and stream. So even when I'm like super late, like I slept in and oh shit, I've only got 2 hours to stream before I have to go to work, and then I do that. Like, I still make sure to do the 2-hour stream because I want to stream. I want to make progress. And so I think it's probably a really lucky combination of the fact that I got really into some motivational speakers, which obviously sounds like a meme, but like Jordan Peterson threw some ideas at me, just like the fact that some of his stuff threw ideas at me back in 2017, I think it was, as I was coming out of a depression anyway. And that helped me, like, fast track the getting out of a depression phase and getting to the point where I could do a lot of work. And there's also, like, some other people that are a little bit more niche that I've since followed more closely. I don't know what the fuck Peterson's doing now. I think he's like he's in a clinic or something because he's addicted to painkillers or. Oh no, that was George Carlin. I have no idea what he's doing. But anyway, what was the other thing that I was going to say? Basically, like, because I started to get personally invested in the idea of self-improvement and of discipline, because I was, like, fortunate enough to be interested in that and open to the ideas of learning completely new techniques for my own improvement, at the same time as this guy was starting to talk about this stuff on a very large scale, like with a giant soapbox, right? A giant platform. And I was able to like take that in and take that to one side and say, like, all right, how do I feel about this stuff? And start to think about that in a critical sense. A lot of it seems obvious when you say it. It's like, just do the work. If you're able to do 15 minutes of work, then do 15 minutes of work, even though that seems like it's not that much work, even though it seems like it's not worth it because it's only 15 minutes of work, it's still 15 minutes closer to, not being done with that work, or whatever it is you're doing the work for. Like in this case, I'm trying to make a project. So if I spend 15 minutes on this project, that's 15 minutes that I'm spending on it that I didn't spend on it otherwise, right? Or I wouldn't have spent on it otherwise. So it's still valuable, right? I think a big problem that I had at the time was, like, I got into my head about time. Like, oh, it's not worth it for me to only work for 2 hours on this. I only want to stream if I'm streaming for like 10 hours or something. I don't know, like pick some insane number just for the sake of illustrating the point. I used to be like that, obviously to a less comical sense or extent, but that used to be a problem that I had, is I wouldn't want to get work done on something. And I mean, it's a problem that I still have to some degree. Like, I still have the idea that, if I come home from work and I have to be in bed around like 10:30 and it's 9:45, and that means I only have 45 minutes before I have to be in bed, but I have, obviously I'm not going to be spending all 45 minutes of that time working, but maybe that totals out to like 30 minutes of work. I'm like, oh, I don't always take advantage of that time, and I definitely should, and I'm trying to get better at that. And just like fire up an editor, or even just, maybe it's something completely unrelated. Like maybe it's like writing a post on the forum now might be a good outlet for that. Maybe it's writing some stuff for the design diary. Maybe it's just doing something, right? Trying to do something with the time that I have, because otherwise it's going to pass me by, and maybe I'll read some funny tweet, or maybe I'll watch some entertaining YouTube video or something, and that can be valuable. That can be like leisure time or whatever, but I'm probably not going to feel like it was as valuable as if I got work done. And so, like, in the interest of making sure that I'm getting the most work done getting the most valuable experience out of my life, like, forget about work. Like, work is something that I do a lot because I find it has a lot of value. And so, in the interest of getting the most value out of my life, that would be what I would do. And so that's one of the things that I've been trying to do more recently. It's like not get behind on stuff like dad cause or channel maps and stuff. Like, I still have to do the channel map for this month, and I have to do another dad call before the end of this week so that we're caught up. in terms of the weekly installment of that. But as far as how I actually force myself to work, it's when I do have a situation where I'm feeling resistance. Like we already talked about the resistance concept because I linked you that book, The War of Art. But for me, it's like the biggest deal behind resistance is I almost get in my own, like, this is gonna sound really strange, but I almost think in my own head, like going back to the push-up example or whatever, or taking a cold shower. That's something that's not really that pleasant, but it really feels good afterwards. Like you feel like, oh shit, I'm so glad I did that. Just like working out or sitting down to work on a project. Might be like, I don't really want to do that right now, but then you just say, fuck that, I'm doing it anyway. And afterwards you feel good about doing it. Like you feel like there was a victory involved. And it's almost like you get free what is it? Serotonin? Endorphins? You get free happiness out of that. Now that I think about it. I didn't think about it this way before until just now. But when you're actually feeling resistance, that's an opportunity for you to just get free happiness by doing it anyway. And then being like, look, I'm so like disciplined. I'm improving myself as a human being enough to be able to discipline myself in this way, or be disciplined in this way, I should say. And you can feel good about that. Like you come away from that being like, I didn't feel like doing it. I did it anyway. Isn't that awesome? And yeah, it is awesome. And you should feel good about that. That's an accomplishment. But like, it's like an opportunity to just have free happiness, which is something weird. I didn't think about that now. But even before that, obviously very recent revelation, I would conceptualize it as like, I would think in my head, like, are you really not going to take a cold shower right now? Like, what are you, scared? It sounds like so dumb because it's like the macho thing of like being a macho man and being like what are you, pussy? You don't want to do it? But for some reason that's really effective for me. Like I do that to myself. I'm like, yeah, some man you are. I don't really go that far, but it's like the idea is like really, come on, stop being a bitch and just do it. Like stop being a pansy. Some other derogatory word that would probably get me in trouble in the year 2020. You know, just do it. Like, what are you doing? Like, seriously? And I basically, like, berate myself in my head mentally for, like, even having the momentary weakness of not wanting to do it. And I'm just like, fuck it, I'm doing it. And, like, that gets me pumped up, and I just jump in the fucking cold shower, or I do the push-ups, or I sit down and do the work, or whatever. So that technique works for me. I don't know if it works for everybody else, but... Ah, welcome back, Connor. Oh yeah, that's another thing I acquire is like when you have a breadth of different topics that you can work on or different tasks you can do. Like you can work on maps, AI, units, plugin systems, whatever. Like your tools so that you can do your work easier. There's like a bunch of different things that you have access to. Like you're almost privileged and not in a way that the word is destroyed now. It doesn't hold its original meaning. But it's almost like a good thing that you have so many things to work on because you can just pick a thing and be like, yeah, I'm going to do that. Like, or just decide, yeah, I'm doing that right now, even if I'm not feeling too great about it or whatever. Just the fact that you have so many different things that you can do is a blessing and a curse. The blessing is you always have something to do. And the curse is, well, I guess the curse is also you always have something to do. It's like there's so many things that you have to do. But you can, based on your viewpoint, based on your point of view and your outlook, you can modify that. What's up, Alexander? Ah. Well, here's something that helps me sometimes that is sort of similar to that. It's like, for me, when I'm working on Hydra or Stormborn or Inconsummate or whatever, there is a like, I don't need this line of thinking or this motivation as much. But I think of it like somebody else will play this campaign and find enjoyment out of it. Like, it's not just going to be me. There's other people who are like actually waiting, like Connor and Ultralisks and Fuguro and Alexander and a bunch of other people. Like, there's people who are waiting for me to release content. Like, not like holding their breath. Not like pestering me all the time. Like, it's not a bad thing. They're actually like interested enough in my content to be like, hey, when is your thing gonna be ready? I would like to play it. Like, that's fucking great. Like, nobody, like, there's so few people who are privileged enough. Again, not to sound like a social justice warrior, that's not the context I'm talking about, but there's so few people who are, like, have that ability or have that luxury of people who actually want to play their content so much that they're willing to, like, sign up onto a forum and a Discord server and stay connected and check updates. And you ping them and they come and they're like, all right, let's do it. Let's play this map. Let's record a video. Let me give you my thoughts. Like, this stuff you don't get every day, right? And I know, iQuare, that you have people who are interested in your next campaign. It's the same thing. I mean, that can be a motivational, like, it's super motivational for me when I say it like that. Obviously, I'm getting real excited now. But even without that, it's like, I'm fine without it in terms of motivation. But if you're lacking motivation, I mean, just think of the people who are going to play your campaign when it's done and be like, wow, this is great, and actually enjoy it. Like, not for the sake of praising you, but for the sake of bringing that happiness or that experience to other people. Like, that's one of the main reasons anybody works on content, I think. Like, they want to bring the experience to themselves, but they also want to share that experience with other people. And an experience is only really shared organically if it's a good experience, right? And so you want to make a good content, so you want to make sure that you're motivated to work hard, but you also want to work often so that you can eventually finish that content. That's sort of how I think about it. Yeah, see? Veek as well is also hyped. I was thinking of people who had recently done Hydra videos and stuff, so that's why your name didn't come up. But I know you're hyped too. There's plenty of people who, like, don't even post that are interested in my work. That can't wait for me to release something. Like, actually release something, not like these beta things for Hydra. So, like, I mean, that's a privilege. You know, I think there's people out there, like, even, you know, say what you will about your content and how, Veek, you feel like you weren't working on, like you needed to improve your layouts and you needed to improve this and that. But there's people who have been interested in your work. Like, that shouldn't be the sole motivating factor, other people's interest or other people's ability or willingness to play. At some point, maybe it comes to the time that my work has no following. And certainly there was a time before like a couple of years back, where very few people were actually, like, just my close friends basically were interested in what I was going to make. Maybe it will happen again. And I still have to be able to soldier on, even if nobody watches the mod streams and nobody plays the content, right? But the fact that there is an audience, there exists an audience who are interested and want to experience the content that you are producing, that can be the little bit of extra motivation to get you over the hump. And so iQuare talked earlier about how, oh, somebody else needs my help, so that motivates me to work on stuff. Well, you've helped me a lot. You've helped a lot of other people a lot. But consider the people who are going to be helped by playing your content, right? And I use air quotes, but really, when we're playing video games and we're unwinding and relaxing in some capacity, or when we're really challenged by a skill testing video game and we're, like, constantly, you know, pushing on, soldiering on, trying to win, and the challenge is part of the allure in that sense, which is my target audience anyway, we are getting a good experience. We are enriching our life. It's more, when you, obviously I take this stuff very seriously, so to people who don't take it as seriously, they're going to assume that I'm just like some lunatic, but there's an aspect of that significantly improves or changes how you view the act of making content. Like, again, it's down to your outlook. It's down to your point of view. When you're making content and you're just improving your technique and stuff, you can treat it as if you're just producing. Oh, it's just another map. It's just, but somebody could play that map and have a good time. And even if they only play it once, and it's like 30 minutes or an hour or whatever. That's 30 minutes or an hour of a high quality experience that they found value in, and that enriched their life. And you can't just, like, you can just say, oh, it's just a map. But somebody is going to play that and really enjoy it, generally speaking. Like, if you really put effort into it, somebody else is going to play it and enjoy it. You'll play it and probably enjoy it because you made it, and there's, like, your own personal attachment. And you'll be proud of the stuff that you did well, and you'll be excited to do the stuff that you didn't do as well better in the next project. Like, you'll be excited to improve. you'll be motivated to improve. But that is something that motivates me, is knowing that people are going to get something valuable out of the experience. Right. I think it is possible to be burned out working on the same kind of thing over and over again, like always working on adding new units or functionalities, always working on AI, always working on whatever. So variety can definitely help you remain motivated. But yeah, anyway. Hope everybody's now pumped up and firing up SCM Draft to get work done. I hope motivational speech is over, and hope you guys liked it. But yeah, the realization of the fact that it's like free happiness, I actually think that that will help. That'll help me anyway. Like if I'm ever in a position where like from now on it's like, oh, like I don't have a good excuse, right? It's just like, oh, I'm too tired. Oh, I don't feel like it. I'm hungry. I'll do it later. Stuff like that. I could just be like, wait, that's resistance. That's like stopping me from, that's like laziness or whatever. And if I conquer that, if I move past it and just do the work anyway, I'm going to feel so fucking good about that. Free happiness. Seriously. That's fucking epic, man. Good tactic. Like, there's certain things that are... What's the term? Well, I kind of lost my train of thought. There's like certain... certain things that you can go back to, like certain mental mantras that you can have, and you can... It's like stuff that gives you energy, I guess. Right, and like for some reason, the times where you don't feel like doing it and you do it anyway, after you're done, you feel great. And once you start doing it, you also feel fine. It's like, oh, what was I even complaining about? This is fine. Like, maybe I would be like, oh, I don't feel like pressing start stream right now. But then I press it, and then like 10 minutes later, I'm like, all right, let's do it. You know, I'm zoned in. Like, it's really just sitting down to do it. That gets a lot of people, I think. As long as they're able to stay focused after that, as long as they're used to staying focused after that, then it's fine. Oh yeah, and that's what I was going to say. I've thought of another good point after that I'll remind myself to say. Mental mantra. I'll just remember that. But there's certain things that you have to do that you can't control. That are like, you know, before this coronavirus destroyed everybody, you had to go to work or you had to go to school. You know, you have to make money so that you can pay bills. You have to, you know, contribute to your household so that your family can be, you know, happy and not like you have to maintain relationships with people. You know, however you want to granulate that. There's things that you have to do. But there's also areas of your life where there's time that you can spend to do whatever you want to do. And there's nothing that you have to do. And that's where the motivation strikes. People who have worked day jobs before probably know this, where you have a situation like... Or another example is just school that everybody's had. It's like if you woke up at 6 in the morning you stayed up until 3 in the morning, and then you wake up 3 hours later because 3 at 6 in the morning. If you're going to school and you have to be at school by 7, you're going to get up and you're going to soldier on through the day. And you're going to come home and probably nap or whatever. That's how your life is going to be. Like you just know you have to go to school. But if you wake up at 6 in the morning, 3 hours after going to bed, and like your alarm wakes you up or whatever, and it's Saturday, and you don't have school, or you don't have work or anything. There's no reason for you to get up. You're so much more likely to go back to bed because there's nothing telling you to get up, right? It's free time. You can do whatever you want, so you choose to sleep. And that's something that really gets me. I've thought about that for a long time, actually. The idea that like your ability to self-motivate is like very little, but you can get external motivation from things that you know you have to do. Like you have to go to school, you have to go to work, you have to do this, you have to do that. There's like responsibilities, is how I put it. If you have a responsibility to do something, you're generally going to do it, even if you don't want to. And if you don't do it, then you feel super bad about it. Like you know that it was a problem. Whereas most people don't feel super bad about not doing something when there was no responsibility to do it. And so you can kind of hack that aspect of your brain, that programming. And you can say, all right, I'm going to make this my responsibility. And that's part of the power of speaking your plans out there and saying, I'm going to make a campaign. I'm going to stream every day. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. You put it out there in the public world. Now, Meska said that he prefers to keep plans private because the responsibility makes him anxious or stops him from, like, kills his motivation. But I think even he could benefit from this if he was able to channel it through there. You know, he's got a lot of other extenuating factors that have nothing to do with general shit. He's got like health problems and financial problems and stuff. But I think everybody would benefit from doing this once in a while. I think there was a reason why he made the list public in the first place some years back, because he was able to actually do something with that, right? And so, like, it was actually something that helped him as opposed to being a hindrance. And situations like that, I think, like, they really tell you, like, you've given yourself responsibility. And now you can be held accountable for if you don't do that thing, right? And if it's something you wanted to do anyway, that can be another thing that can give you motivation. Publicly stating, I'm working on a project. I'm going to make sure that it has these characteristics. It's, high quality. It's, whatever it may be. It's got this many maps. If you want to get specific about that, it's got at least this many maps, whatever. Stuff like that. If you can do that, that can help you, because like you can think back every time you're low motivation, you can think back like, this is my responsibility. I've made this my responsibility, right? It's not quite going to be as concrete as having to go to work, because you didn't make that your responsibility. That is your responsibility. Or school or whatever. Like, that's the same thing. But I think that can be useful. That can be helpful for people. So the other thing that I was going to say real quick is mental mantra. There's certain things like the Shia LaBeouf video or whatever that was that are, like, the Connor has that mental mantra of just do it, right? Like, there's ideas or moments in cinema or some video that somebody made that give you strength, that give you motivation, that actually energize you and make you want to do stuff. And there's all sorts of stuff. Like Joe Rogan, on the Joe Rogan podcast, he always talks about Jocko Willink, I think his name. I forget his last name. But how Jocko's got this like Instagram, and he's up at 4:30 in the morning every day running a mile or something crazy. And so, like, and he made this like motivational video that I parody all the time. That Joe Rogan watches for motivation, right? And so I think it's a little goofy. It doesn't really work for me, but I can see that it works for him, and like that's something that gives him the motivation to go out and do something that's hard, like run. Like a lot of that stuff is like physical exertion or whatever. But it can also be channeled in a similar way for things that are more cerebral, things that are more creative, but take time and take a lot of work. Oh yeah, so you were asking me earlier about motivational speakers. Yeah, I was talking about Jordan B. Peterson. He's a rather polarizing figure in many respects. Not, well, I guess in a political sense, but that's not really what I'm talking about. I know that a lot of people don't treat him or don't treat his content as particularly useful or like revolutionary. I don't think it's I don't think the message that he provides is something you have to get from him directly, and I do think that there's certainly there's always going to be some issues with individuals. Like obviously nobody's perfect. Not that we would even know what that is, but he has some really, really concrete points about motivating, because like he's a psychologist and his specialty was helping people get out of their own ruts, and in way more serious manners than just not being able to find motivation to work on a custom campaign, right? Like, again, I'm making that seem less serious than I personally treat it. But this is people like who are, drug addicts, down on their luck, no money, blah, blah, blah. A lot of, some really grim environments, right? Really grim stories with a whole host of psychological issues. And he was able to help them using the same sort of methodology that he provides to the public in his lectures and his speeches and stuff. He's also he was a university professor. I was mostly interested in his biblical lectures because they took an angle on the Bible that I hadn't heard of. I hadn't thought of before. I'm not religious. I'm an atheist, but I used to be a militant atheist back in the day, like yelling at anybody who was religious. But that was like, oh, here's some value you can get in a secular sense where you don't have to believe literal stuff from the Bible, but you can see where the value of the stories was, because I wrote it off as like just being what's the term? Phooey. I think that's a word. It means bullshit. I wrote it off as just not having any value because it wasn't scientifically accurate and it was just clearly not true in a literal sense. But he allows you to examine it in a different way. That was one of the things that I was mostly interested in. But his personality stuff was really helpful. His psychology stuff was really helpful as well, because it gave you the idea of like what he describes it as a hell, a heaven to strive towards and a hell to run away from. And these two motivating factors can be like the goal you want, the future you want, and the future that you don't want that could happen if you don't act. Like, this is the future you'll get if you act, and the future you won't get, or the future you get if you don't act, right? Or if you act poorly, you'll get the hell, and if you act well, you'll get the heaven, or however you want to conceptualize it. And again, this is more like high-level stuff. He's dealing with people who have some severe issues, whereas we're just talking about, like, maybe we do also have severe issues, but we're not talking about those right now. We're just talking about Brood War custom content or custom content in general, creative enterprise. And that was one of the things that was super helpful. So, hey, happy to help, Icor, and good to hear. I hope that you're able to find some value in that one. Looking forward to seeing the results. Oh yeah, I should probably finish this. But yeah, so that was the secondary motivational speech. Hope you enjoyed. I can't remember any videos that were like that like really did the that were from that like crystallize Jordan B. Peterson's utility. But I can send you something from I can send you something from Thorin that I think I've posted before, and I'll post it in special list. But you can watch that at some point, and it will. You can decide if it's useful for you, but maybe that will help get some of what I'm talking about crystallized. Because for me, that's one of those things that's my mental mantra. It's like that's one of the things that really reminds me, like that gets me excited, that makes me want to pop open SCM Draft and start working. You know what I mean? Like, as silly as that sounds. It's not related to custom content at all. It's just some guy talking about, he's like a CSGO analyst, and he's an analyst for a couple games, but he's primarily CSGO. He's talking about how he was able to do something every single day and produce content every single day, and the thought process that went into that, and how like his streak was somewhere ludicrous, like almost to 100 days of a new. It was like a dad call length video or more every day, except he was way more articulate than I am. That's for sure. So and it was like adding of like analytical value, like opinion journalism and stuff like that, like sports journalism basically, but for esports. And so it had a lot more value than just like any random dad caw. And so he was able to do that every day, whereas I can't even do the dad caws every week. But not that there would be a necessity to do them every day. But like that's like an example. Like that's what he was able to do. I think it was up towards 100. I don't know if he ever cracked that. So like that video for me is like exactly what I'm looking for. This is exactly what I need. There was a Patreon Q&A from Jordan Peterson that also gave me a new thought, which was one of the things that really made me think about process over product, which is something I always thought, but I didn't think about it quite in the same way. And I can't remember for the life of me which fucking video it was, because it was just some random Q&A. It wasn't something that was well documented. That I should have bookmarked it for later. But I listened to it like 2 years ago when I was taking a walk. So yeah, I can't remember much about like when it was. But that point was, there's something to be said about making a single great contribution. And I'm abstracting this to like making a single great campaign or high quality campaign. But if you can improve your ability to make campaigns, to make contributions, whatever they are, then you can make many high quality contributions in a smaller amount of time. So the idea is, if you improve the method that you're using to make your contributions to society or to the community or whatever, then you indirectly, well, I guess directly, you're improving your capacity to make those contributions. So one of the things that I think that the specific example that he was giving was like, he was trying to improve his ability to get his message out there to people or something. So in doing so, he was able to like provide more support to more individuals. So like, he's increasing his ability to propagate a high quality message rather than working on the message itself. I think that was the context. But it's basically like the idea that he can, you know, he's becoming more prolific. He's not letting his quality dip, but he's not trying to improve the quality of the product or the message, the project or whatever. He's simply focusing on making sure that he's able to produce a high number of them, like a higher volume. And he, you know, obviously that's not the only thing you need to worry about. You can't always worry about quantity over quality, obviously. It's good to worry about quality first, but at some point, a qualitative measurement can be done based on not only quality of one project, but number of projects, right? So that's basically, that was another point, another mental mantra, I suppose. Did anything think about that? Yeah, I think his co-op content that he's producing now is going to be 1.16.1, but I'm not sure. You can ask him about that. I don't even know how many of us have the game or the remaster installed. I was encouraging Dynamo to register an account and get his Doom stuff posted, as well as his. I think he said he was going to post his Wolfenstein mod when it was done, which apparently is a mod in the Doom engine, the GZ Doom source port or whatever. But it's Wolfenstein themed, and he brought over a lot of the gameplay constants like movement and stuff. However, he also said that he was hoping to provide some education on how to use the editor and stuff. So hopefully he takes... he's good on his word. Oh, you have a playlist of my more thoughtful streams. That sounds actually pretty interesting. Yeah, if you want to post that somewhere. Alright, so it looks like this is good for now. Close those. Set last sucked unit. Wow, I wonder what that means. Oh boy. Yeah, unfortunately 2v2 ladder seems like a lost fucking cause at this point. A lot of his seems to be progressing steadily. Yeah, well, he's got a lot of time now. I'm gonna be back in about five or 6 minutes, maybe a little bit over that. Gotta make a phone call, and when I return, we'll be getting into some AI work for the Terrans. I'm gonna try to do like a basic Terran framework and then plug in specific details for the Magistrate, as well as probably base layouts for him. That way we'll have one Zerg and one Terran, and I'll sort of alternate between the two. So, yeah. Be back soon. Okay, Beak, bye! Have a good one! I'm back. That was way longer than expected, sorry. What's up, Don? If you're still here, Void. Alright, let's get some work done on this AI. Oh, wait. Testing out the, what's it called? The spoiler tag. See where we go with that. Weird that it doesn't provide you a link to the board, but whatever. Not that big of a deal, I guess. Alright, minimize. Glad to see that that's working. Gonna have to revise some of that stuff, or reorganize some of that stuff in Inconsummate. Where is their white text? Is that in the spoiler tag? Oh yeah, I've got to fix that other stuff too. Oh, I see, the header. Oh. Why is it like that for that theme? I thought I did a, hold on, let me see. Oh, I didn't do text background. Well, unfortunately, it's going to look awkward if I do it this way for themes that are not the dark one, but I guess that'll be better than what we got right this second. Although, what? For some reason it's not going through. I guess I have the wrong. I forgot what the background color property. Oh, never mind. I had it right. It's supposed to be a. There you go. Well, it should be more readable now, but it will look pretty awkward. That's a temporary solution until we have a bit better. I'm gonna look for like another spoiler plugin later. Hopefully there will be something better in the future. Okay, maybe I just found one actually. Let's take a look. Try now in the inconsummate thread. I'm gonna go edit UED Commander's thread because his just got pranked. And that as well. It should look better, even though it has some large text. Let me preview it in the other themes just to see what we got here. Yeah, it doesn't look bad on the blue theme. I'm checking now on the one that you're using. It looks good to me on that one as well. Let me check the purple. Yeah, I think it looks fine. It's inheriting the colors now, so. Yeah, that's what it looks like for me too. So I would say that's way better. That's a much simpler plugin. I have almost no, like, I can't do much with that one, but it's still pretty good compared to what it was. Alright, let me get some base layouts done here, and then I'll get the framework for the AI taken care of. Yeah, meant to help Goska feel a little bit more. Well, it's a frame of reference for how human characters act in this universe, in this setting, basically. So that Goska feels either more or less human, depending on what the situation is, I guess. But it's a way to further his characterization more or less. You're gonna have to be more specific than that supply. If you're talking about the ones down here, or over here, I guess. But down here I could see it happening if this one's built and then that one's built. I get stuck in that little area. Eventually we'll just have code that tells the AI to go kill the stuck SCVs, it'll be fine. Both of them. How would they get stuck over here? They build this depot, then that, then that. Well, this bunker, that. I guess with the bunker first, it would be less likely. But then they build the depot, and I guess they could get stuck over here. Better that way anyway, because of course if there's ever a situation where they're rebuilding, they could also get stuck anyway. So. Should be more than enough depots, I think. We can keep this whole area open. It's a little bit less open than I would like, but... If we do that, it's a bit easier. Yeah. For that depot, so that mech doesn't get stuck over there. Yeah, smaller questions are fine. Basically, we don't really have a huge frame of reference yet. It's still very early days for what you should expect from the forum, or to set expectations for the forum. I'm still going to be updating the threads with more information, or posing questions and stuff is going to be a big deal. I want to pose more like design-oriented questions about stuff, and I think a lot of that will go into the discussion forums, and less so into the wait, what? The wrong it'll be less so in the project forums. The project forums, I would like to pose, like, ask questions about we might talk about story for Inconsummate. I might ask some questions about how people experienced the story in the first campaign, to look for some more information. That would be one of the things that I'm going to talk about, I'm sure. And then otherwise it'll be like There'll be a few other things that we ask about that, like thematic identity of some of the game state changes in Hydra, like how people interpret them after playing them, like how do they feel. Obviously things are going to change, and I want to gauge some long form feedback on I want to use long form feedback to decide and to gauge whether or not the changes are in a positive direction overall. So. Okay. Thought I was going to be able to squeeze another engineering bay in this area, but it doesn't seem likely over here, so we'll toss it in this area. Another tricky aspect of this is I don't want to overstep the bounds of this player and have them build certain things. I don't want them to build too much stuff in this area, which is where the starting player may decide to build a bunch of stuff, right? So I think what I'll do is I'll open this up for eventual production if the starting player has elected to not take advantage of it, to not exploit the area. And then I think the same thing is going to be true for over here. The brass AI, Randall, will read if the magistrate has taken this base or has started to build over here, and he won't build over there until there's nothing over here from the magistrate. So that should work, I think. And then obviously the vice versa, if there's already brass defenses over here and the magistrate's not going to build shit in that direction. All right. Oh yeah, if you've got a number of questions, that would be great. I was actually going to post later on today. I don't know exactly when, but I will be posting at some point like a couple of questions that I have for other people. But I can definitely do that as an addendum to my post or a separate post. I mean, an addendum to my response to you or a separate post in general. Wait, I think there was no space between us. I have to look at my inconsonant scripts. Wait, when did I use the tag juice? Oh, maybe only for raiders. Yeah, there's no space. I guess I could have master placed comment space with comment, but... I wonder if there's a way that I can do something like, I wanted to do something like for the forum when you pop into a board, there's like extra information, including links, underneath the board name and the text associated with it. And so you would see stuff like basically where the title is, where it says multiplayer projects in this case, there'd be like info down here, including links to the Wikidots and maybe some other useful information. Similar to like if you go into Discord, the channel settings, you can see like the channel description or whatever that includes links or whatever PSA or whatever, something like that. I think that would be useful. I'm sure there's got to be a plugin that does that, so I'll look into that later on. I think that would be useful. And at some point I'm going to come up with images for the projects, like banners for the projects in a different way than what I've already got. And I'm going to use those for the... there's like a plugin that I got that does something like that. I guess I'll demo it out. Where's 640 by 120? Let's see what that looks like. I definitely gave it the wrong fucking field, that's for sure. 120, 640. I guess that looks okay, but I'm wondering why it says one viewing before the it says one viewing. Oh, okay. Yeah. So that is just a known issue, it seems. Alright. So I'll disable it for now, and I'll go back to working on that later. See what else we got later on. I'll be right back. I just need to grab a banana real quick. I'm starving. Okay, I have returned. Fortunately, the banana was squished at the top. Very sad. Sad day for this banana. Okay.
Is it a new world, or will it consume us all?
Yeah. I also wasn't sure if I should enable quick reply or not. I know it makes it easier to see, like, just to type something, but I almost wonder if maybe it would be better to always have to hit the reply button, because that shows you the context of the thread, like it shows you the past messages in descending order, and it gives you access to the full BB code editor and stuff, so I wasn't sure about that one. Might be better to do it that way. Yeah, what I think I'm going to do is, I was just messing around with navigation. I think I'm going to disable the quick reply. So that if you want to reply now, all you have to do is, where you would used to reply, there's like a button at the very bottom and at the very top of the page, of the thread. It's like reply up here and reply down here. So that's all you would need to do. And that way you get taken to, I don't know if you saw earlier what it looks like, but not only do you have the BB code editor, but you also can see the posts. So this is like the first post, and then there's a your post. It's pretty useful for like keeping track of, like, instead of, like, if you needed to quote something, right? I think it's better to have like the ability to just scroll through the whole list. Because eventually when we have multiple threads or whatever, I mean multiple pages to a single thread, it will get challenging to keep track of everything. And yeah, I'm not going to reply right this second, but I'll try to do it before I go to work. Just cause. Alright. Take it easy, Connor. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for joining us and spreading the positivity and motivation. Hope everything's going okay with you, and if not, hope you got the iron will to smash through it anyway. I'll see you tomorrow. Good, and we have Engineering Bay Academy, Med Bay Armory, Machine Shop, Science Facility, and Control Tower. I don't think there's any other. Yeah, there's no Covert Ops or Physics Lab, so that should be good. I think that's 0. Upgrade ID at 0. Pretty sure. See you later, Alexander. Thanks for your post. Thanks for hanging. Pretty sure there's going to be other engineering bay upgrades in the future, but for now, that's enough. Leave a voicemail, idiot. Pretty sure that's the only Academy set of upgrades that I'm interested in. The others are for... Oh, there's a polyoid adhesive. Right. That's right. Now, unfortunately, Connor's not here to correct me if this is misinformation, but as I understand it, it's actually better to get plating upgrades for your mech against Zerg, because it allows them to withstand more shit, like Mutalisk bounces, Lurker Splash, and stuff like that. Now, obviously, there's not a total Mutalisk focus across all parties for this map, but I still think that plating is probably the predominant mech upgrade to go for, in general. We'll see how that works out anyway. But. Forgot there's no other armor upgrades just yet. That'll do for now. What do we got now? Siege mode? It's fine. Still not sure if I'm going to be allowing the Goliath upgrade to be the same as it is. I was thinking of giving them a different upgrade instead of it being range. I honestly like range for anti-air anyway. I honestly don't even know what it would be though. They're already pretty versatile. The range upgrade definitely makes them better at handling anti-air. Maybe I could keep it the same, but just make it more expensive, so that it's encouraged, or make it tiered. I guess if I wanted to do something like that. But I don't know. I want something that's a little bit more compelling than just +2 range. I think it's +2. It might even be +4. Well, no. I guess it depends on what units you're using. It's probably +2. Wasn't there an AXT upgrade earlier? Yeah, a few of them. Alright, so that's done. Cool, upgrades are done. I haven't done, I'm not doing spellcasting right now, but... Alright, for the main, this will be part of the natural, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 barracks. For turrets, we have a pretty small number, I think. 5, 6. I know we have less than that for bunkers. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe. Okay. I think we're good there. Should be all set. Nice. So we got some AI done. Pretty good about that. Feel pretty good about that. So my stream was only 3 hours long today because 3. But also because I started an hour later than I expected to. Gonna be slowly fixing my sleep schedule again, so that I can wake up a little bit earlier. Fear not. Otherwise, I do have a dad car coming by the end of this week, as well as a channel map. I also obviously have Fraud Night on Saturday. Mapcrap is going on. I'm just not participating this time around, and I don't think iQuery is either. But we have 6 other people who have already confirmed. Don had to drop out. It would have been 7th. But if you're interested in participating, feel free to now. I still have to distribute the Hydra New Game State at some point, but that probably won't be before the end of the event, so don't worry about that for now. Yeah, otherwise, keep an eye on the forum, and I will see you guys tomorrow for another mod stream. Take care, stay safe, be well. Mwah.